How about the cat? There's the cat.
Hello, Kitty.
Leah. Hey, everyone.
Hello, hello.
Leah's famous, you know.
Yeah. Well, the cat is a famous cat. Very famous.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's like the friendliest cat ever.
Ever.
Casper, the friendly ghost. She just is everywhere in that house.
Yeah, that cat has carte blanche to the entire house.
Yeah, you think someone's crawled in bed with you, and you're like, "Oh, is that a ghost?" No, it's just a cat.
No, it's just a cat.
It's just not a cat. It's the cat.
It is the cat.
Excuse me,
the queen of the house.
Yep.
So I'd like to welcome everybody in here. Those listening at home, those listening later, those on with us now. Welcome everybody to another exciting episode of Paranormal Pickers with yours truly, Nick. We got Dean Thompson. We've got Laura Redmond with us today as well. Laura, if you could wave. Not that they don't know who we are. Right? And then we've got Tony. Tony is joining us as well. Tony, could you give us a little bit of background about yourself?
Yeah, right now I'm Tony Orett. I work at the Monroe Clinic here in Monroe. I work in the operating room. What's that?
Wisconsin.
Yep. I've been living here at the house since 2015. Tia bought it in 2012 as a bed and breakfast, and we worked at it as a bed and breakfast till about COVID hit. And then we kind of shut down due to COVID. Then I started getting busy at the clinic. My wife, Tia, who will be joining us shortly, has a counseling practice here in Monroe at Main Street Counseling. She works with 2 other people, and they've been doing amazing, busy constantly down there. She's got
I have a counseling practice too.
You do?
Just don't get paid money for it.
That's right. She gets paid money for it, fortunately.
But yeah, and then that's your Quentin on the side of you there. And
yep, this is my stepson Quentin. That's Tia's son.
Hello there, Quentin. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll get more into the house later because we have to kind of introduce everything.
Right.
But yeah.
Fantastic. Dean, anything? Oh, go ahead, Tony.
Go ahead. Tia, she's at work right now. Like I said, she'll be joining us shortly.
Perfect.
We anxiously anticipate her arrival too. No problem at all. I'm sure she'll jump right in as to any point where we're at. I always like
to welcome you to the 3rd episode of Paranormal Pickers.
So this is
episode
3. Go ahead.
How'd you get the name Paranormal Pickers?
Go ahead, Nick.
So, if you've ever seen the show American Pickers,
we have.
Yeah. So, Dean and I, we've done our fair share of spoofs on things. People, whether it be in the paranormal field or any field that there may be, but we kind of liked the concept of Paranormal Pickers, where they go from place to place, town to town. They have a list of what they're looking for, and then they present that to complete strangers at times. We kind of rolled that back in with where we're at. We've gone from town to town. We've got a list of things we look for when we're there, and anything can turn into a paranormal pick, right? We can stroll into a random cemetery and look at a grave. All of a sudden, next thing you know, Dean, myself, whomever may be with us, is researching that person, finding the history on them, where they lived, their life story. And so we like to bring all that in. You'll see that as we progress through episodes, we tie in a lot of anniversary dates, a lot of death dates, things like that, things that just work out well with the time that we're in and the story that we're looking to tell. So along the way, we like to pick up folks like yourself, Tony. Laura, unfortunately, has been stuck with us for way too long. And so we just pick up things as we go along, mash them all together. And it kind of ties in again with our ghost head soup. That's kind of a hodgepodge of people coming together. Everybody adds an ingredient, a little bit of something to the soup. Same thing. Everybody adds a little something to every pick we've gone on.
And this episode is titled Well, it's season 1, episode 3, S1E3. And the title of this episode is Yellowbird.
Oh, it is?
Oh,
Okay.
And we'll get into that a little bit later on. But yeah, we're going to focus on the Monroe, Wisconsin Victoria Garden Bed and Breakfast, which is now back to being a home.
Mhm.
So we'll hear about Tony and Tia's adventures and Quentin's adventures as well, and their experiences in this house, the
Excellent.
history of some of the houses. But one gentleman that lived there, his name is Albert Frederick Trachsel, and he is the focus of tonight. We're celebrating him because his birthday was April 1st, so
Mhm.
it's his anniversary of his birthday. And we did this live before with Laura and Haunted Rockford and Sarah Bowker from Haunted Rockford and Psychics Anonymous. Who knows?
Psychics Anonymous. I don't know that's like an oxymoron in and of itself. Like,
Yeah, right.
if you can remain anonymous to your fellow psychics, somebody is not a
Right.
psychic in that group. Then
Right. So she picked up on a few things that we were able to validate using our current methods of ghost hunting, which is your ghost box. Got a lot of stuff off of that, and we'll present that to you later on. But without further ado, as Nick would like to say.
yeah, without further ado, I'd be remiss though if I didn't, give Laura a chance to introduce herself and tell a little bit about her side for those that maybe.
As her hot tub just kicked back on.
Sorry, I was wondering if it was getting noisy in here. Well, gosh, I've known
Could
you
be
guys
live from your hot tub.
That's
Well,
a
I don't
whole nother show, Dean. That's a whole nother show.
Retinas, okay, so no,
Right.
stay here. I met you guys like in 2010, 2011. It's been a while.
Well, according to some psychics, we've known each other for universe,
Yeah,
for
apparently
eternity.
Dean and I were brothers in another
Yeah.
life.
You were?
Yeah, and then we were brother and sister. So that explains the love-hate relationship. I hate his guts.
He
I
loves
love
you,
him.
right?
Yeah.
She
Yeah, I
loves the
kind of
baby.
started hanging out with these guys, and they were kind enough to let me tag along on some of their adventures. And they are really a unique group of investigators. They do not do things like the TV shows show you. They try to constantly push the envelope and think outside the box and do experiments. And I just kind of fell in love with it. I mean, I felt kind of stupid at first because I'm like, why don't I know this? But then I realized nobody else does either. These guys are on to something. So I'm really happy that they've allowed me to enjoy the ride with them.
We appreciate always having you along for that ride too, Laura. Any given time, that's for sure.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. So let's take a quick, reminder here just as to what we've done throughout the week here. I always like to give some pleasantries, see how things were going. We'll start with you, Dean. Anything new this week that you feel like sharing with the gang? Don't let it all out at once.
Oh, nothing new. Just I got the the first 2 episodes up on YouTube. I got into a good rhythm and got those produced really quick. Got them edited in. So if you go into the YouTube page, you'll see episode 1 and 2 with added footage. I added video, added pictures, added extra stuff. Cool little endings, little credit things here and there. Just having fun with it and just see where it goes. But that's what I've been working on.
Well, that's a shameless plug there too. So if anybody listening or watching, go to ghostheadsoup.com. They'll be able to check out the links for past shows, and then as the upcoming shows come through as well, we go from there. My life, I Dean, as you know, I always have something exciting that goes on throughout here. If it wasn't last time the dog getting away and going to the police station, this time I'm helping the in-laws move, and I know that you actually clean out, the storage lockers and what have you, and you find some trinkets and treasures along the way. I was gifted some items as well, from helping them move and helping them get out. But long story short, this move that they've gone through, I feel like if something could go wrong, it has gone wrong, right? First time it failed the home inspection before they were going to sell it. This time this time somebody came back and they said the property lines were different than what the original survey was, so they were delayed there. As we were moving all the stuff out, crunch time, one of the guys that was there was actually the cops came and surrounded the place, and none of us knew it at the time, but the guy was wanted on a warrant, so he came in and threw it out. I thought, what else could go on with this move? Like there legitimately has been everything that you can think of.
Don't jinx yourself now.
Well, they did sign the paperwork today, and if all goes well, they're out of here on Thursday. So
if all goes well, they're out of here.
Well, it's in-laws. Everybody loves in-laws. The last time my mother-in-law came over, she asked me. She says, I said to her rather, how long are you going to stay? And she said, as long as you want me to. And I said, well, what? You're not even staying for coffee? But at any rate, enough of the pleasantries. Let's move into the real reason why we're here. I mean, Tony, you're going to give us a lot of the firsthand updates and firsthand experiences that you've had at the bed and breakfast. And what a cool way to live, taking on an older bed and breakfast. Tons of history, I'm sure, that comes along with the place. With history, as we know, comes paranormal stories. So
there is.
Yeah.
Like I say, Tia moved in here in 2012 with Quentin. They are actually, were you guys coming from Alaska?
Madison.
They were. Quentin was born in Alaska, hence the name of the dog, Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
And Tia moved down to Madison. Her husband passed away, and she moved down into Madison. After that, she was kind of looking for something really to do, and she came to Monroe, which was her hometown. They say everybody goes home, and so did she. And she came upon this bed and breakfast, and she thought it would be a wonderful fit for her and Quentin to get started back again in Monroe. And she purchased the place, and T and I met online, and then I moved in here in 2015. And right after I moved in here, I don't know if it's me or what, it was a disturbance in the house, but we started to have a lot of activity that we couldn't really explain. We had a marker that seemed to move around the house a little bit. And it would be 1 minute on a windowsill, the next minute it'd be somewhere else, and then somewhere else, and then somewhere else. And it was all these little odd places that were kind of hard to get to, like a top of a high door, a top of a window we couldn't reach. And that kind of thought, well, you know what? That's a little strange. And I guess the history comes back now. It comes in with Dean and Ghost Head Soup at this point.
Excellent.
That we were having. We saw that we were visiting Tinker actually, and just we didn't know anything about the history really of it, the paranormal history of Tinker. So we got there, and did we meet you that day that we first got there?
Yeah,
were you wrapping something up?
You went on a tour. And then you
right.
spoke to Mark and I at the end of the night. And
right.
I think that following weekend, I was up at your house with Mike.
Yep, you were. All of a sudden, there was a knock on the door, and there's Dean and Mike.
Now, was this place always a bed and breakfast?
No, it was not. It was built by Freddie Trachsel back in 1890.
Yep.
Yes. We actually have a picture of the house. Why don't you grab that picture?
Yeah.
Actually, Nick, I sent it to you on the messenger. Is that
we'll look at it both ways. If Quentin wants to grab the picture, I will pull up a copy of it as well.
not as big. There's a part of the house that wasn't that as newer, actually, but it was built by Freddie, and he was actually a musician, and he played a lot of concerts, mostly in Milwaukee and Madison. And
The house.
original house. Ta-da! And let's see. Oh, there I am. There, that's better. There's a couple of trees in front there. I think you might be able to see.
Yeah.
That are actually the two ginormous trees that are sitting outside. So they went from something about 6 inches across to now about 2.5 feet across. And of course they dump leaves every fall, and I curse them. So anyway, so we met up with Dean, and he came over, and I think Mike is the one who said he really felt the presence in the place, if I'm not mistaken. So I think after that we went to Tinker and you came up and did an investigation before we went to Tinker with you guys.
Yeah, and this was about 2016-ish, I want to say.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, that'd be about right.
And then we've been up there a few times since doing investigations, and yeah, that's a
good picture of it. Yeah,
that's the same one there.
That's
and you're
exactly
talking these trees that are sitting here.
Yep.
Yeah, so the Trachsels did build this house. They were part of the cheese industry over there. Fred Trachsel, Alfred.
Alfred.
Yeah. So he married Elizabeth, and then they had three kids, Anna, Fred, and what was the other one?
Skip, apparently.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, apparently. But I'll get more into that, because when the dad died, they willed the house to her, and then when she died, the 3 kids got money. One was already married and living somewhere else. Freddie never married, and then I think the youngest one never married either.
No.
So yeah, it was an interesting family. Freddie, when he got the house, he didn't make much money being a musician. He was teaching pupils out of their house to learn piano, and kind of the house kind of fell apart at that time.
Mm-hmm.
They bought someone else bought it and kind of tried to fix it up, and
so to the best of your knowledge, how many generations of the of that family lived there, stayed there?
all of them.
All of them. Okay. So
Yeah.
you got a strong family history of that family for
Yeah,
sure.
so up to like 1890 to 1969 is when they sold it to that Fred Roseau or something
Fred
like that.
Rose, correct.
Yeah, and he was like a beekeeper, and he bought the house at the time, but he did most of the work that you see today, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Fred also had the only florist shop in town too.
Mm-hmm.
He had a Rose's Flora, which was right at the edge of town there. So he was a florist.
Yeah.
So he's got 2 things going. He's generating his own money. He's keeping bees and flowers. So he's got the pollination thing going the entire time. He's got
there
everything
you go.
rolling. So
he's rolling.
He sold honey. That's great. So
and then when that sold, Martha or Marty or something like that bought it and turned it into the B&B at the time.
Correct.
And
yeah, that wasn't probably the early to mid 70s, I think, is when it first became a bed and breakfast.
Okay, so it's got a solid half century as a bed and breakfast too.
Yeah, I think it was 1989. There was like a Fred and a Penelope or something that had it in the 70s, and then Martha turned it into a B&B. I got here 1989 to 1999.
Okay.
And then the Marshes bought it, and that's back to where Tia found out. She went to the garage sale. They had it on the market for a while, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. They had it on the market. They took it off. Tia knew about it being on the market. She went into the garage sale and she asked if they were still selling the house. They're like, yeah. And she just had this pull to the house. I think the house was pulling her.
Yeah, I think so too.
It came out. I guess, Quentin, you were part of that, because she said you were going to be homeowners or bed and breakfast owner or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then you had it since you had it as a B&B, but now you're going to turn it back into a house again?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're doing is this construction actually just started this week.
Oh, wow.
We had a
You know what that says, Laura?
yeah.
Road trip.
Yeah, you'll have to come up and see it sometime.
Unmute her. You got to unmute Laura. She can't talk. She's been gagged. All right, Laura, go ahead.
So yeah, you guys are definitely gonna have, once we're done with the construction, guys are definitely gonna have to come up. Because what we're doing, the outside stairs is now gone. We took those off this
the back
week.
of the house.
Right, the back of the house toward the garage and stuff. So that's gone, and it's about time too. It was in disrepair, and there's really no direct sunlight back there, so nothing really gets dry. So the wood kind of got a little rot into it, so we just got rid of it. So the 3 rooms that we had upstairs that were for rent, we're turning the white lace and the ivy room, you guys probably remember those, into kind of the ivy room, the white lace room had that big bathroom. So we're going to make that into a really nice bathroom with a nice shower and a nice tub and new vanity. And then the room associated, the white lace room, we're going to expand that room to where the ivy room was and make it a master bedroom for T and I. The rest of the ivy room is going to be a walk-in closet, and then the rose room is going to be like our guest room.
Nice.
Excellent.
We're going to expand the laundry room too a little bit as well. So
and Nick, before you say anything, I just want to clarify. This is not a haunted house. It's a spirited house.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's completely fair too, because you know, I could only imagine once the renovations are going on like they are now, you know, you're going to get the cliche of, oh, we're doing everything and the ghosts, spirits are coming out to see what's going on in the house as well. Take me back a minute, you know, when it comes to you guys owning and operating the B&B, how long did you have that in operation? You said you moved in 2012, if my memory works.
right, it was a B&B in 2012 until mid 2020 when COVID had really got hot.
Okay, so you got 8 years of folks coming in and sharing the experiences throughout the house as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question, and we may address this later, but I'm just dying to know, out of the 8 years and the folks that come through there, did any of them ever share any of their experiences with the spirited guests that are there?
Yes, they have.
Okay.
We've had a couple of our guests. They would come down to. Of course, we made breakfast for them, and one in particular that I recall is she came downstairs, and since they were the only couple staying, we were sitting having coffee with them, and she says, "By the way, are you guys haunted?"
No, we're scared.
And we kind of looked at each other, and you know, we didn't advertise it as being having spirits or ghosts into that, because some people would be drawn to it, but a lot of people would not be.
Sure.
So if people want to find out that kind of thing, you know, they will.
Yep.
You know, and we kind of looked at each other and we go, yeah. And she said, well, she was up in the middle of the night, and when she went back to bed, she felt somebody sitting on the bed next to her, and actually saw the indentation where
wow.
the person the spirit had actually sat there. We've had a number of guests. One thing about our spirits, they like to move things around a little bit, kind of move their clothes that were hanging around a little bit on them.
Sure.
And we've had people talking about footsteps in the hallway, and just that sort of thing. Not everybody experiences them, but we've had people, yes, that definitely experience it.
And of the folks that shared their experiences with you like that, I mean, did that match up to you all's personal experiences that you've had in the house as well?
Yes. Yes. Our spirits have a tendency to move things around a little bit. And especially with when things change a little bit, they have a tendency to come out a little bit more. So we had the house for sale the last little bit, and it wasn't really, it's very Victorian, and it's
Sure.
a type of a house that you'd have to really want a Victorian style house to really appreciate the house. So we had people see it, but it's big. There's a lot of original woodwork here, and a lot of people, it's just too much a house for them to do.
Yeah.
And what we have found is when we had the house for sale is when we had most of the spirits stirred up a little bit.
Yeah.
We had another picture that came off of one wall and we have a doorway going into our kitchen, and it ended up on top of the sill going out to the kitchen. And we've heard a lot of footsteps, a lot of knocks. But when we took it off the market, it kind of stopped.
So they're comfortable with you as the guests, permanent guests.
Yes, that's what we thought too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe that the fact that we decided not to sell is kind of appease them, as you might say, a little bit. But we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on as far as when the construction started. Today's the first day we really had construction in the house.
Mm-hmm.
We're not really sure what that's gonna happen.
Right, you may wake up to the whole house rearranged tomorrow morning.
We may. You never know.
It's entirely possible.
This is as long as they do our laundry.
Yeah. There's that part that has when you go up the stairs, that was kind of added later on. So
right.
It doesn't blend with the house as well as it should, and it's almost like it's missing the feng shui. And from that new point that was added on, there's a wall of floral paintings that Tia had chosen for that wall, and Tony, that's when they moved the paintings upside down, and you can't reach. This is a high wall; you can't reach it. And I want to point out, Laura, just heads up, we have you on mute because of your audio. So if you need to say something, kind of wave so get our attention.
Okay. I've unmuted her. Right, let's let her talk because she's got. I'm sure Laura's got some experiences in the house, so I want to hear her side of it.
Well, I first wanted to just have Tony clarify this door that he spoke of that goes into the kitchen. That is what used to be servants' quarters, correct? Like not quarters, but a servant's entrance.
Correct. That was added on. Yeah, that was added on afterwards. Yes, it was.
So that would make sense that once you put it on the market, whatever spirits are there, maybe if some of them were servants, that you'd be hearing footsteps and knocking on that particular door.
True.
So I just wanted to make sure that people got that picture in their head. There's the door just for the servants, so they're not seen going around the house. It's a secret little door for them.
And it goes right down into the kitchen.
Right. And that's the wall that Dean's talking about that has tons of floral.
Going up the stairs there.
And right on the tip top. Yeah, right on the tip top of those. You can mute her now, she said. What girl ever said that before? That's your catchphrase. You can meet me now. So on top of the stairway, that seems to be right where everything happens. I know I got touched in the back up there, and I have an audio that says I felt.
The thing is, did you just when we painted this a few months ago, It was like,
Seriously?
put the ladder down, brace yourself because
What happened?
you're gonna fall.
I thought I rubbed against like the side of this picture or something.
Is it being touched already? I'm gonna go in here real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Just feel the other side.
All right.
There was a ribbon on the door. There's the laundry right there that Laura had experiences with. There was like laundry on the bed that it shouldn't have been. So there's just that little white or the white lace room and the
rose room.
and then the laundry and then that stairway where the house kind of got messed up or kind of like rebuilt in a sense or added on or did something. That seemed where the activity was going. Sorry, I'm waving my hands. Yeah, but
Yeah, that's where most of it happens, definitely.
well, Laura, I think she needed something to add. Is that what you were doing, waving to unmute you? Yeah.
Right. Go ahead.
Yes, at the top of the stairs where Dean was talking about, where it seems to be more activity than in any other spot in the house that at least we've experienced. There was an event there one night that we were hosting, and some people had rented out the rooms. And this one lady and her daughter, they were like, I'm scared. I don't want to stay in this room. And so I'm like, come on, I'll show you. And I took them and showed them the lace room and the big giant bathroom. And there's a separate door to the bathroom and to the bedroom, which were both open. And so I walk them into the bedroom, take them into the bathroom, show them where the commode is, because that's kind of hidden behind some drapes. And then as we're walking, the laundry room door opens up.
Yep.
Now, I stood there trying to debunk it. I shut it, jumped up and down this, on the flooring, tried to shut that door, shut the bathroom door, opened it up with centrifugal force. I tried every single thing I could. And there's this mother and daughter, and their jaws are just dropped. I'm like, well, have a nice sleep tonight, ladies. And then so yeah, that spot's like a vortex or something, but there's a lot going on right in that area.
I know one night, I think, was it the same event that they were doing some EVP work in the white lace room? No, it was the rose room. And was it some papers flew off of one of the desks?
There was like a candle and a doily or something. A candle and a doily moved and fell off the table.
These are some highly spirited spirits in here.
Yeah.
They are.
But, Laura, you mentioned vortex. Nick, I want to interview you here for a second. What is your take on vortexes, and how do you view that in the paranormal world?
So from a standpoint of, energy vortexes, it's a couple different things. They can be, in my opinion, to a different dimension altogether, or, a different time-space dimension type deal. Or it could be a portal of energy where it just transfers in, where spirits can come in and out, kind of a doorway or a gateway into different areas. Now, I've often found in the places that I've seen them or been around them is, an area that's the recipe is right. Whether it's old house with a lot of activity, and that's the reason I was kind of building up with, you guys alone experienced 8 years of people, just their energy and whatever they exerted from their energy, not to mention everybody from 1989 or however long it was from there. So you've got potentially hundreds or thousands of people that are just transferring their energy right there alone. The area, I haven't done an overview map yet, which we'll get to at some point in time, where we can see the area layout, see if there's rivers nearby, see what kind of stones are nearby, railroad tracks, ley lines, things like that. But from a vortex standpoint, I would say I'm always of this thought that there's two separate ones, whether it's people, spirits past, or whether it's actual energies from a different dimension.
That's how we go to work. We travel through the vortex and we save gas.
Well, I need to stir one up here then because these gas prices are killing me.
They are.
Hey,
But
we can't all be Doctor Who, right?
nope, we cannot.
We got a question here too. Well,
Yeah.
I want to stop and read it while we go here. It's have you guys ever taken magnet field readings around this location? Might have something to do with the vortexes.
Magnetic fields? No, I mean, we've had EVP work here. That kind of feeds off of magnetic fields a little bit, but as actually measuring magnetic fields, no.
Well, I kind of want to bring up something. I mean, that triggers my thought. One
Go
of
ahead.
the things that Tony had a show and tell one night.
Right.
And as a child, him and his brothers would use this rock as a chuck for their wagon on their farm, and their farm was just north of where Monroe is. And then he said one day they threw it off to the side and it rained and washed all the mud off of it. And they're like, well, wait a second, what is this thing? And Tony, can you tell us what that thing was?
It was a meteorite.
No way.
Yeah. It's
It's
fairly big. It's
man.
about that big. So I took it, this is when I was in high school when I found it, and I took it into my science teacher who took it into Platteville, the university, and they looked at it and they said, yeah, it's a meteorite. And of course, what the first things out of their mouth, would you like to donate it to Platteville? And I said, no. It's my meteorite and you can't have it.
What am I going to use as a chuck for my wagon?
Right? So go ahead.
I was going to ask, do you still have it currently? Is it in the house with you?
It is.
Excellent.
I should grab it.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get this. I'll be right back.
Perfect.
While he's doing that, let's touch a little bit about the birthday boy, Freddie.
Yep.
Some of the timeline that I have is that in August of 1900, he was 17 years old, and this is the first that we saw that he played a piano recital, and he was a pupil of Miss A. Williams. So that's at 17 is when he started delivering a recital, and he's been doing it his whole life, basically. He's played at weddings and funerals and any event that happened in Monroe. He was probably the pianist behind it. A year later, he was August 15th, 1901, at 18. He leaves for Chicago to take a course in piano instruction. So he actually came here to Chicagoland and practiced piano. And then in a couple years later, I think it was like 4 years he was out there. August 17th, 1904, he was 21 years old. That's him right there as an old man. Thank you, Nick.
Yep, no problem.
I shouldn't say old man, but older than the other picture that I have there. So in 1904, when he was 21, Fred Trachsel, pianist, is featured soloist at a classical music concert given at Wells Opera House. So like I said, he's all over the place. Tony hinted to that earlier. April 13th, 1906, Fred Trachsel will play the new pipe organ at Frieden's Church in Milwaukee at Easter afternoon, which Easter is just around the corner here. So then I'll follow up with some more after that. But yeah, he's already started and already possessed the talents to play piano, and he also taught it later. So I'll go over some more dates since Tony's back with the rock.
Chunk of rock. There is the chunk of rock.
So how big would you estimate that is? It looks like it's both your hands together, right?
It's heavy too.
Yeah.
It's heavy too, you say?
It's really heavy. So it's made of pretty much iron. So he said it was an iron meteor. So I mean, you can see that the holes in the lot and the flow and everything like that. And its for its size, it's very heavy.
Yeah, it looks like it would be heavy. Now, you bring up a good point there, and this kind of ties off with the question that we had just been asked about. Have you taken magnetic field readings around this location? Might want to be something to look at with the vortexes. Well, you bring up the meteorite, and you said that it's mostly metal, and according to the source online, it says they're traditionally, stony and metallic, like iron, nickel, or stony iron. Well, heck, if you're going to have a giant magnet that's sitting there in front of you in the house, or something that can create or pull in magnetic fields, you may have a source of that vortex right there in your hands.
Could be, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely heavy. It's definitely mostly iron from what they set up the platform when I took it in. Yeah, it's a genuine article.
That's awesome. And you were just using it as a chuck for the wagon all this.
Yeah, for years.
Hey, that's great. So let's recap real quick on what we've gone over. We've established the history of the house, gotten a few of your stories as far as what's going on there, some people that have gone there. Dean, you were just in the midst of giving us a little bit of a rundown of the organist or the piano fellow that had stayed there. Did you want to roll back into that and wrap anything up on that gentleman?
Sure. July 26th of 1906, Freddie was 23. He was noted.
Is that
there
this
you
guy?
go. Yeah, that's him. He was noted. The noted young piano teacher of Monroe will be in South Wayne on Friday, July 26th, to look up prospects for a class here. Professor Trachsel studied 4 years under, I'm probably saying this wrong, it's Liebing, Liebing, the great Chicago teacher, and is without doubt the finest piano instructor in the part of the state. So that was in 1906, 23 years old. 1907, he was 24. He plans a recital for his advanced piano pupils in the near future. So this is when he started teaching. In 1908, he played at Madison for a concert by Rudolph Ganz, pianist. 1911, when he was 27, this is younger piano pupils of A. Fred Trachsel meet at his home for the recital. So in this home, there was a lot of piano music, and that's important to some of the things we're going to play later for you.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. September 12th, 1918, this is when he was 35. He was World War I draft. And I think the address was Farmer Street at that time. It wasn't what it is now. And he was, occupation was teacher of music. And then at 56, his dad passed. Actually, Albert, his father, died. And I think I got a picture there. That's what I sent. His dad actually died October 23rd, which is my birthday. And then he left money to Elizabeth, his wife, or Freddie's mom. And it said that they will split it evenly upon her death. Fred, Anna Trachsel, and Mrs. Lydia was the other one. And Lydia actually got $500 right away. And the grandson Herbert got $100, and the granddaughter Catherine got $100 at the time of his death. So they were just, Elizabeth got the chunk of the change here. At 59, in 1942, he received his second draft card at the age of 59 for World War II, and that's when they show him on 16th Street. So that's when you see the name of the street changed. November 17th in 1960, when he was 77, that's when his sister Anna Trachsel passed in a nursing home. And then later on in 1992, that's basically when he couldn't afford it. In 1969 is when he sold the property. So
he lived quite a long life, if I gather.
yeah, he actually passed June 30th of 1968. But the entire time he just never married, played piano his entire life.
Wow,
Music.
that explains it right there. This guy living a single life. Of course, he lived a long life.
I mean, if you pull up his Find the Grave, it's got a nice right above him from the Monroe Evening Times. Just kind of explains a little bit about him. But I see we have a guest show up here. Hi,
Yeah,
Tia.
we've got somebody else joining Tony.
Hello, this is my wife Tia.
Hi, guys.
Hello there, Tia. How are you?
Good.
Virtual hug. You could probably unmute Laura so she could say hi too.
Nah, yeah, I suppose we could.
Hi.
All right.
They're making me keep my mouth shut tight. Yeah. I don't know why.
She's doing fantastic at it, though. Tia, do you mind just a brief introduction of yourself? We've gotten to know Tony and Quentin there at the house, Alaska that you're holding on to, and even the world's most friendly cat.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I was born and raised in Monroe. I was actually born September 17th of 1968. I think that's just kind of interesting. I didn't realize when his death was, and I don't know, just maybe destiny that I'm supposed to be here. I feel that a lot.
Yeah.
So growing up, this used to be a single family home, and about 2 years before I went off to college, it became a B&B. And I've always loved the house and admired it. And, being a B&B owner was never like a direct goal. I always knew kind of what I wanted to do, and that was be a psychologist, and that's primarily what I am.
Mm-hmm.
But then life happened, and so my first husband passed, and I was grief struck pretty hard. And for a number of years, I didn't practice. I thought that in the middle of my grief, I wasn't going to be able to help anybody else. So I thought, well, what's plan B? And so I kind of went back to school and collected degrees. I went to pastry school. I went to school for interior design. I went to art school. Nothing ever really felt right. And then I came home to visit my family, who all still lives here, and saw that the B&B was for sale. But at that time, the price was ridiculous. So I kind of continued along my directionless path, came home the next year around the same time, and the house was no longer for sale, but there was a rummage sale. And I asked the then owner if he would still be interested in selling it. And he said he would. And I got my own realtor because he did not want one. And we went around about a legitimate price and thought, oh my God, I'm going to be a B&B owner, which, was perfect to combine my art and a little bit of the psychologist and the pastry school and show. I opened up on Cheese Days weekend, and it went great. And we have done the B&B for the last 8 years. Have you told them about the situation now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm now back to being a psychologist, and I'm loving that. And I'm really feeling like that's where I need to be. And the pandemic hit.
Sure.
And so worlds kind of collided. We weren't getting any business, combined with, I started going back part-time, and we just came to the conclusion that we wanted to sell the house. And boy, was Freddie and his mates unhappy about that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Things were moving constantly. Doors and cabinets, I mean, they've always opened and shut, but they were being slammed. I mean, you could really hear them move away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just the just really picked up. And we weren't able to sell that. Even in this great market, nobody wants a B&B. Because you can do Airbnb. You don't have to have any licenses or any fees. And the house is very much Victorian.
Sure.
And if you're not enamored of that, you're the house. So we couldn't sell it. And we had already purchased another home. But because that was contingent, it fell through. And so we decided we're going to stay and we're going to remodel. Since it's not going to be B&B, all of the rooms on the second floor weren't useful. And so now we're going to make some closet space. And we're really happy with that choice.
Yeah.
And the activity has stopped. I think Freddie feels at peace because I do feel the previous owners, the Marshas, kind of chose me to be here. And I think they were kind of chosen to be here. And so you once said that you don't choose a house chooses you. And I do feel that we were chosen to be here. And so here we are, we're staying, and this is where we're going to live out our lives.
Yep.
Excellent. Tia, I got to ask you too, so in my honest opinion here, it was a different dynamic when Tony was in first, right? Then you came in, and I can almost feel the energy in the house change just by you coming in, and I'm not even there, right? So I've got to ask you if on your end, you kind of did allude to it, but do you think that the spirits that you share the house with, do you think that they're drawn to you more than the rest of the family, or do you think it's an equal spread? I guess the question is, do they express themselves more to you, or do they express themselves equally to the family?
I think equally. I've had experiences before Tony moved in, but it was after he did that we had really kind of a conclusive experience that, oh my God, there's no way I could have done this, or you could have done this. There is something going on here. And Quentin has had experiences as well. Yeah. So I really do feel that it is definitely all of us. And as much as I hate to admit it, we do kind of complete each other. As a, the three of us as a trio, we're kind of the three musketeers.
We are.
And, Mrs. Trachsel was very family oriented. she would have, there's a trickster here named David. And all the kids in the neighborhood would come here to play. And every place that I've ever lived, that was my mantra. The kids would, when we first moved here, we had a path between our house and the next door neighbors. And we trade kids all the time. And so I just think that, that whole idea of family is what this house has always been about. And I think we're kind of carrying on that tradition.
Well, that's the beauty of it too. You're turning the once family home that was shared with so many other people back into a family home, so you guys can draw it out and experience the rest of that for yourselves as a family. That's fantastic to hear on that. Now, real quick too, Tia, if you don't mind, could you let me know your first experience with Dean and Laura? How'd you meet these two?
So our first experience was the kind of defining moment for us was the marker. So we had this magic marker that would end up on crown molding, standing upright, for a period of a couple weeks, and it would be in different places around the house. I'm short, but it would take a really big ladder for either one of us to do that. And, the ladders are clanky and, we would have heard each other do that. So that was when we both said,
something's going on.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, are you two the type that do play, pranks on each other, or that
No.
completely?
No.
Yeah, so that was completely out of the realm to even think that the other one was doing it to you.
Right? No, we
don't do that.
Yep.
So
I don't want to get hit.
Tia, Tia, if you can, it sounds like you're cutting in and out of your audio. So maybe if you could focus your vocal on the microphone. I don't know, Nick, are you hearing it walkie too?
The audio,
yeah,
I can't say that I am, but I if it's going in and out of waves, it could be from when Tony moved to get all three of them in. He may have covered up the microphone. I didn't notice it on my end, but if you're noticing it, that might be what is
just
causing
kind
it.
of like, because no, if you went like this, we lost you a little bit.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, back to what Tia was saying about David is a neighborhood kid who Sarah actually picked up on psychically and said that he's a community jokester. So we're kind of thinking that because another thing too that happened was in the basement, they had a chair go from one side of the basement wall to the other side of the basement wall. And we have a clip on me asking who moved the chair, and we got a response. So we'll play that later too.
So let's actually, we've got maybe 30 minutes left, and I want to give everybody a chance to hear the evidence that you've got and the stories behind it, and maybe because it's going to potentially spawn some questions from me because I wasn't there, and then some answers from the rest of y'all too. So if you don't mind, Dean, would you mind giving us a little bit of a build-up, and I'll unmute Laura to give the build-up, or?
Well, before we get into that, I also wanted to point out that the reason why you were picking up on the energy with Tia is something that took place at one of our Haunted Rockford events at the bed and breakfast. And one of the guests there pointed out that there was a picture of Anna, if you could bring that up, Nick.
Sure.
And you be the judge. But she said Anna resembles Tia. And I was talking to Tony the other day, and I said, I didn't notice it at first, but now I can't unsee it. When I see Anna picture, I see Tia in Anna Trachsel.
So this is one of the Trachsel family that lived there prior to you guys moving in. Okay, now that makes sense to me. I can see it, and I can understand why the house energy picked up. Then, if there is a correlation, if that's what was alluded to, I could see that as to why the energy picked up. And that was just me, general observation. I hadn't not really looked at this picture. I didn't know the story behind it. So fantastic to hear.
So yeah, you can. We'll play some clips here. Is that what you're alluding to?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to, but I wanted to build up. I wanted to build up to it a little bit. Like, give me the who, the what, the fives that are there. You're there. Who's there with you?
Well, I kind of think we pushed that off to the end a little bit more because we're calling this show Yellowbird for a reason.
Thank you for bringing that back.
We haven't even touched on Yellowbird, and that's something that
My God, yes.
I can play the first clip regarding that. So this is where Tim, Tony, and I were in the living room area. And again, I miss you guys. It's so comfortable to just sit there and talk with these people. I'm telling you, words can't explain how comfortable it was there with these our friends from the moment we met. So
yep, we were.
I miss you guys so much. It's good to see you guys, even though it's visually. It's I can't wait to get up there and
Definitely.
Yeah, we miss you too.
So this is a clip that we caught. We actually heard it. We didn't know what it was, so I'll play that for you.
Is there anybody from the Trachsel family here? What was that? I don't know.
So if you can hear it, it's Tim asking, is there anyone here from the Trachsel family?
Yeah, do it one more time, because I know what I heard, but don't influence me yet.
Gotcha.
Is there anybody from the Trachsel family here? What was that? I don't know.
So what did you hear, Nick?
I can hear a Tweety bird in the background, like tweet, tweet.
Correct.
Is there anybody from the Trachsel family here? What was that?
And it was right in the room. So to make a short or long story short, is Tony had mentioned a previous girlfriend had a dream or was painting or something.
She was painting.
She was painting, and you were dreaming or you were sleeping.
Right. She lived in Minneapolis, and one night I had this dream that there was a yellow bird flying in the hallway I didn't live here at the time, flying through the hallway. And I talked to her the next day, and she was freaking out because she was painting a picture of a yellow bird.
Right. And then this the same time frame that you captured this, Dean?
No, that was way in the past.
Yeah, but he just told us that he did mention the dream to us, and he told us about the Yellowbird. And then we caught this tweet,
mm-hmm.
And it was like, to me, it was like Yellowbird, Yellowbird.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something out there that's called a frequency illusion. It's kind of like when you buy a new car, you're like, no one has this car on the road. And until you buy it, then you start seeing it. You see this car, like everyone has it now. But the odds of it being a Yellowbird is just mind-blowing to me, because once this Yellowbird the story came into my life, I started seeing Yellowbird stuff. Right away, there was a street sign that said Yellowbird Street, I ordered Edward Gorey tarot cards, and one of the cards was Yellowbird. I was at my cousin's retirement party, and someone asked him, what's your favorite drink? And he's like, well, from down south and Caribbean or whatever, it's the Yellowbird drink. And I'm like, what? I was like mind blown at this point. My neighbor house has a Yellowbird on top of the mirror in the bathroom. I was talking to George on the phone, and I was telling him this story, and he said he was looking at a painting by Michael Nesmith, of all people, and it was a painting of a Yellowbird. And then the big one, where you want to unmute Laura right now. I mean, this happens all the time, and it still happens to this day. It's not as strong as it was before, but one of the biggest ones, and Laura experienced a lot of these things, so she could validate what I'm saying.
One after another. It was like
constant. Like Yellowbird this, Yellowbird. I was like, oh my God. But we stopped in McHenry, had some dinner, and then I said I want to go into Spring Cemetery there. So we drove through the cemetery. We saw this old man sitting down on a bench, and it was a new grave. I guess he just buried his spouse of many, many years. And he was sitting there holding something. I'm like, what the hell is he holding? And Laura and I at the same time said, Yellowbird! He had a yellow bird in his hand. Laura freaks out. She tries to jump out of the car before I even stop because she wanted to talk to this guy. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, what are you doing? So I came to a stop and I'm like, hold on a second. And all of a sudden it came into view. He had one of these yellow flowers from the coffin and he was twirling it in his hand. And the illusion of it forming a bird, Laura and I saw immediately. It was like so bizarre. I wish I had a video of it because I could show it to you today and say you would see a yellow bird, right?
Yeah.
That's wild.
So traditionally, if you're going on the spiritual meaning of a yellow bird, it's a couple things. It's one, it's supposed to give you optimism, and number two, it's supposed to give you the strength to make it through any type of storm that you may be going through. So I don't know what was going on in your life at that time, Dean, but if there was something that you were coming through, it's to give you the optimism and the strength to get through.
Well, you saw these people down here shake their heads to that.
Sure.
Because they were going through a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense to me with all of them coming around them.
All three of them.
Wow.
So from Yellowbird being where we started there to peak off, let's keep going to reach the climax of what you got here for these evidence here. Keep me going. You've got my attention now. Now I want to see where we go from here.
Sarah mentions David. And Kathy, she's senses some stuff as well. And we had an event where I introduced this audio to her, and she had to sit down because she was overwhelmed. It's kind of validating. Sarah is saying she picked up on David, and we're talking about who moved the chair. So I got two clips of David, and I think the first one is me asking who moved the chair in the basement.
Who made the noise in here before?
Oh, I'm wrong. Let me see if this is one. Yeah, this is the one. All right, so this is, give me the name of the person that moved the chair.
Give me the name of the person that moved the chair. David? That's the answer?
So that was a ghost box. So I said, who moved the chair? And I don't know if you heard it, but
you can hear it.
It says David, and then it says that's the answer right afterwards.
So I heard the David. It sounded like a female voice almost, or a kid.
Yeah, I thought.
And then this is the other David clip.
Who made the noise in here before?
Who made the noise in here before?
Who made the noise in here before?
Walk me back on that too. David is the one that we mentioned was the trickster, right?
Correct.
He could have been a pupil of Freddie's. You never know. So yeah, he's the neighborhood kid that probably likes to move magic markers, and
that's what I'm
thinking. Yeah.
Yep. Like I could see, with the renovations you got going on, maybe David will be moving something fairly soon here.
Actually, so around the square in Monroe, we have the courthouse centrally located, and then there's different buildings throughout the city that have unique architecture. And there's an artist in the community who replicates these different buildings. and sells them. And so I have picked up some of the buildings and have them sitting on a ledge, and they are often rearranged.
Really?
Yeah. This past, not this week, because I just straightened them out again, but the week before, for a good 2 weeks, they were moved every single day. Mm-hmm.
That could easily be David making his triumphant comeback here too. So
could be.
Mm-hmm.
Good to hear. Where do we go now, Dean?
Well, Sarah also picked up that Elizabeth, loved tea in the back parlor, and that's when Tia, you actually started tea parties at that time.
Right.
So yeah, it was kind of like you said, it's the house found you, or actually I think you returned home.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great way to look at it. I just got chills.
Me too.
Yeah.
So one of the things here, this is when Mike was still with us. Mike Menard, he passed, and he actually died in my arms in 2019, January 6th. And he was there doing a ghost box. So this is his voice asking, does anyone want to talk to us? And this is where we actually know that, well, I'll let it play.
Okay.
Anybody want to talk?
Freddie?
Thoughts?
Play it for me one more time.
Anybody want to talk?
Freddie?
So I hear about 3 or 4 different voices in there at some point in time. I can't make out what I feel they're saying though.
So there's the first part that says, it's like somebody was calling for Freddie, so they would say Freddie. Because somebody wanted to talk, it says Freddie, and then real loud at the end it says Freddie.
Anybody want to talk?
Freddie?
I can easily hear the Freddie at the end.
Yeah, that was pretty loud. And then we got a couple more here. Now remember, he played piano, so.
Sarah, is he here?
So that was Laura.
Yeah.
He's talking.
Mm-hmm.
Give us the rundown on that, Laura.
We were in the dining room, and this was during an event, I believe. And
Yep, it was.
And Sarah, the medium, was there, and Kathy, and I was kind of disappointed actually in the lack of evidence I was getting, but when that happened, it was like we went from like 0 to 100. It was like, holy crap! I mean, now, it's a ghost box, but to hear piano notes, I mean, that was just really coincidental. So it was pretty cool.
I'll play it again.
Sarah, is he here?
And then
everyone enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, here's the second one.
David, is that you, or Freddie, is that you turning off my little box with the red light?
That's awesome.
So Laura asked if David, or she called out David and Freddie, and we got a he. and then another piano. So I'll play that again.
David, is that you, or Freddie? Is that you turning off my little box with the red light?
So that's how Freddie talks to us. He plays his piano.
Right. I could almost see him doing it in the picture as you played that.
Right.
Mhm.
I got two more here.
Okay.
Are you happy so many people came out to wish you a happy birthday, Freddie?
You'll hear a quick yes at the end of that. It's like yes.
Are you happy so many people came out to wish you a happy birthday, Freddie?
Mm-hmm.
And the last one.
I'm sorry I had your name spelled wrong, Freddie. It happens. It's right, it happens.
So yeah, she spelled. We had the birthday cake. She misspelled the word. If you want to unmute Laura here,
Of course. I hear her give it. I could see the hands going. I knew she wanted to express.
Yeah, I became Italian all of a sudden. We were doing anniversary haunts for a while, and so we knew it was his birthday, so we brought a birthday cake, and I ordered it, and I spelled his name with a Y or an IE, and I guess I spelled it wrong. I didn't know. I mean, and then I didn't give the person at the bakery explicit instructions either, but I was informed that I spelled his name wrong. I think the medium, the psychic, said he told her that my name was spelled wrong.
And
so I apologize.
So this audio says, if you can't hear it, it says, it's okay, it happens.
It happens.
I'm sorry I had your name spelled wrong, Freddie.
It happens. It's right, it happens.
Okay, it happens.
So that's the clips that I'll be playing tonight. So it kind of you hear Freddie all over the place. And how often do you get piano sounds on a ghost box like that? To be honest with you, it's you feel Freddie there. Freddie is the loudest one that we captured, and I know there was the S1E3 actually. When it says words, it kind of, you don't know what word it says, but sometimes the noise, the audio sounds like a true word. So Quentin, the word came up on my S1E3 once where it said rabbit, and Quentin heard Freddie come through. I think he remembers that, and there was no name on the display, so when that made that sound, that's he heard it. So I don't doubt that Freddie's not there.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, and that leads me to a question for you guys, the whole family there in Monroe. In your estimation, I mean, we've touched on the trickster kid, David, right? Freddie, potentially Ann. And in your estimation, who do you feel is there? Do you got any other folks or any people that you just feel stand out to you?
Well, definitely David stands out.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. I think of all the spirits that are here, David is probably out there the most. Then maybe Anna. Freddie's kind of, he comes and goes a little bit. He's not there all the time. He's not as vocal as the other two, but by far it's David.
Yeah. I love it.
I think Freddie used to smoke, because there'll be a lot of times none of us smoke. And if the doors and windows are closed, you can't smell smoke from anybody on the street. But very strongly, I will be like, do you smell smoke? And
Yeah.
we look at each other. Yep. And you distinctly smell cigarette smoke. And there's
Yeah.
times when I hear music, it's not necessarily piano, but I'll hear some tunes and there's not a radio on. So, but David definitely is constant in our life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the smoke may come from earlier than Freddie, like his mom and his dad, because his dad was in he set up a bank at one point. He was well-to-do, financial, all this other stuff going on, and he had many of business meetings, most likely in this house.
Yeah.
Cheese industry, banking industry. He was a big pinnacle part of what Monroe is. The cheese industry for one. Limburger, right? Limburger.
Yep. Limburger.
In Wisconsin, the cheese industry is the banking industry.
Yeah.
Very true.
They are one and the same. That's
and some other playful stuff. We got to call out Melissa and Tim for also being there. And I know Melissa felt a presence in the white lace room. And when Tim was staying in the rose room, that's when he walked in and there was laundry on the bed. And Tia was like, what? There's no laundry in there. It should be, So stuff gets moved around.
Well, Tony did mention earlier too, laundry being moved or clothes being moved for the guests that came in there as well.
Yep.
And of course, Tim with the tweet capture. I was like, what? But another story, because we got 10 minutes here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Take us back when we went into the cemetery and we're looking for his plot.
we were one. I think it's one of the earliest investigations. I think you guys were coming, and we decided we were going to look for where Freddie was buried, and we were driving into the cemetery. I don't know, was it you, Laura, that we stopped, that said stop or something like that? Or we just stopped, I think.
Yeah, it was Melissa. I think we just stopped to kind of get our bearings on it, and then we looked over to the left, and there they were.
Yeah. They were literally right there.
Yep.
That was just freaky. Yeah. I mean,
this was going to look for... This was going to look for Fred at the cemetery, is what you were mentioning, yeah?
Yeah. There's a big Trachsel plot there, and all the names are there. So, there it is. Yeah, we turned to look, and we're like, there it is.
Something about that place, and those folks are always going to direct you in that right direction anyway.
Yep.
Well, one of the things too, to kind of before you kind of wrap things up, is the epitaph on the tombstone was from the Song of Solomon 2:217. It says, "Until the day break and the shadows flee away." So that's the epitaph on their tombstone.
It's a great story for the pair. You said he was never married, so the man lived. I know he lived a happy life.
Yeah,
for sure. Right. Wow. So I'm just saying, I'm only 30 years old. And I got a full head of gray hair, and I think it's from being married. But at any rate, Dean, I appreciate you as always sharing stories with us. You and I can be found every week at this time on Tuesdays, sharing new stories, new picks as we go along. Laura, any closing words from you on your end while I unmute you here?
Oh, you're unmuting me? Yay. Sorry that I had interference with the computer, and I'll work on that before I'm on again. But, love working with you guys. Of course, I'm the loyalist fan every Tuesday watching you guys. You guys have a YouTube channel that people can watch the rest of the shows on. Ghostheadsoup.com. No. What's the YouTube channel?
You can also find it at Ghost Head Soup.
Okay. So people can listen to the previous episodes.
Yep. Fantastic. Good plug there on that. You can always find us on Facebook. You can find us. I don't think we're on Twitter, are we?
I'm surprised you didn't tell your bat story, Laura.
I wanted to, I just couldn't fit it in because I was
Go ahead. Go ahead. Let's hear it.
Okay, so I'm upstairs in the big giant bathroom, and I gotta use the potty.
Oh, that's right. Forgot about that.
Sit down, and there's little drapes to close it for privacy. I go to sit down, and there's this giant bat just flying in circles, like head height, and I'm like, oh, pants are down, pull them up, run out. I'm like, Tony, there's a bat in the bathroom. I mean, it was.
It was 3 foot across, wasn't it, Laura?
Like a fictional story.
You sure it wasn't Mothman in there with you?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I ran out with my pants halfway being pulled up because
fantastic.
It was Count Dracula.
Laura, we love having you on, and we love having you hang out with us every week, even if you're just silent through the comments or silent on the show. Completely fine with me.
Guys. I love you guys. I'll always be your homie.
Yeah. Tony, Tia, Quentin, any closing thoughts from you guys? Any?
You gotta mute Laura. You gotta mute Laura.
Oh, I will. We've got I know you're not doing the B&B anymore, so I don't know if you guys got any events coming up or anything that you guys want to get in on, or say on your end either.
We're still willing to do investigations. They're fun, and I think I have decided that it is now official that in April every year you guys come and we get a cake and we get some champagne and we toast Freddie and we toast good friends.
I think that's a great idea.
Fantastic. That's I can think of no better way to celebrate April Fool's Day.
No kidding.
Right.
That's for sure. Greg says hello to everyone too. Greg, I butcher his last name. I want to say cosplay. Hello to Greg on that end. Tia, Tony, Quentin, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and your evening to get together with us, share your stories. They're much appreciated. Just so you know, you've signed away all editing rights for our YouTube show. So, let's make it turn into a song and dance number, but we are not responsible for that. But at any rate, again, do appreciate you taking the time to come out. I look forward to meeting you in person, whether it's this year, next year, or any year going forward. I think I would have a great time at the old B&B place with the team.
You're more than welcome. Thank you for having us.
Yes, it was fun.
Right.
And they're close to New Glarus, by the way.
Oh, yep. Spotted cow. All right.
Exactly.
Yep. Right. On that note, we're going to say goodbye to the rest of the folks at home. I'm going to end the broadcast, but we feel free to stick around here and have a chat.
We got 4 more minutes, Nick. What are you doing?
That's okay.
What do you got to pee?
I do actually.
Oh, hey. Wow. Oh, hey everyone, it's Dean from Paranormal Pickers. Oh, I got the preview for the next episode. Oh, yeah. Here, take a peek. Oh.